I ran you over at practice?
Boy, you never ran me over.
Boy, you capping, boy.
Boy, you never ran me over for real, boy.
Boy, oh God, I put my shoulder down and you was on your behind.
Boy, you must be talking about another Ricky, because you never ran me over for real, homie.
Ricky Richardson Jr., I ran you over, boy.
Didn't I tell you, boy? Didn't I tell you,
Hey, man, just chill, man.
Didn't I tell you?
Now, when Vinny was bleeding, as you can see, that whenever you are bleeding, blood continues to gush out very fast-like, which is from the vein. Now, one of the key things to remember when treating Vinny was bleeding is to go to the point in which the wound is started at and apply pressure as much as possible. In some cases, though, with Vinny was bleeding, that you won't. There are some cases in venous bleeding where the bleeding will be too bad that which you can not only just apply pressure. Therefore, you need to immobilize the area that is wounded and seek professional help as soon as possible.
If you would have put the jelly beans in the washing machine and the TV wouldn't have set on fire.
Hey, homie, give me that money, homie. For real. Hey, yeah,
Run that check.
Hey, homie, for real, homie. You give me nothing, boy. What?
Capillary bleeding is very similar to venous bleeding. With capillary bleeding, you have a lot of things that go on with it. First, you need to keep the skin very protected because the wound can get infected and you don't want anything to happen to your skin. Now, with capillary bleeding, it's important to just keep pressure on the wound as much as possible and keep the wound protected and clean at all times.
Hey, there you go right there.
Alright, dog, I might go change my Capstone now.
Alright, man, you need to go get a new edge up. Alright, dog.
Arterial bleeding is most definitely the most dangerous type of bleeding of all the three. This bleeding occurs when you hear people bleeding out to death. Though it's the most dangerous type of bleeding, it's also the least common type. In most cases of arterial bleeding, you will need to apply direct and extremely firm pressure on the wound. It's the best way to attempt to stop the bleeding. If direct pressure is not applied and you have a severe wound, and your chances of dying from this wound will increase by the minute. The first steps to take in stopping the bleeding, if possible, you need to have the bleeding person lie down and position their head as laying down below the waistline. If possible, try and elevate the body part that is bleeding. Clean the area that is injured of any large chunks of dirt, but if there was an impaled object, leave it there and do not touch it. Apply firm and direct pressure to the wound. Do not stop applying pressure to the wound until the bleeding stops. Once it stops, tape up the wounded area, or secure it with whatever you use to stop the bleeding. If you do the last two steps and you begin to see that the bleeding has not stopped and is seeping through whatever you used to secure it, apply pressure to it. Do not remove what you have used to cover it up instead of applying a new absorbent material on top of it. Once the bleeding has stopped, you'll need to try your best to immobilize the injured area and leave it and seek professional help as soon as possible.